This episode is number 13. It is coming from you, it's coming to you from the road. So both myself and Jimmy, which we're about to jump into the chronicles of Jimmy the Barber, right? And this is a really a tale of entrepreneurship. Jimmy's shop is in Ford's Colonia, spot that you'll see, and I'm going to even flash up some footage from my YouTube episode where I filmed in Woodbridge, stopped by Jimmy's shop for a quick clip, and I'm gonna flash that up here for those who are viewing on YouTube. But those who are listening, this is absolutely something you want to tune into. This is again, we were gonna cover a lot of different topics on New Jersey living. Entrepreneurship is part of that, and some small businesses in the community surrounding us. And today we're about to jump into a very compelling story. So stick around. You want to hear this story, hear the chronicles of what I call the chronicles of Jimmy. And we're going to really, I think, have some valuable takeaways here. So be sure to click like, subscribe, notification bell, because this content, we want to make sure is getting out to everyone to see. All right. So stay tuned. Let's get this started now.
Welcome to New Jersey Living, the podcast, where we explore all things New Jersey real estate. I'm your host, Corey Jones, a real estate agent with Coldwell Banker and team leader of the New Jersey Living Group. We're a team of experienced agents who specialize in residential sales in several counties ranging from Bergen County in northern New Jersey to Ocean County down the shore. On this podcast, we will talk to real estate experts, local business owners, community leaders, and town officials to get the inside scoop various towns in New Jersey. We'll discuss everything from the latest market trends to featured local attractions with dining, recreation, and entertainment. Whether you're a current resident, a prospective buyer, or just curious about New Jersey real estate, we have something for you. So sit back, relax, and join us for a conversation about all things New Jersey living.
All right, so as I said, we're going to jump into the story of local business in Fords, one of the 10 smaller towns of Woodbridge, one municipality, 10 different towns. Fords is one of them. As I mentioned in the intro, if you've seen my YouTube episodes, you've seen me stop by Jimmy the Barber, right? So Jimmy is here with us today. Jimmy, I know you're busy. I just want to say, first and foremost, thank you for your time, man.
Oh, no. Thank you for having me on your show, man. Always love.
All right, much appreciated. So just thinking back, Jimmy has been my barber. This is going back pre-COVID. Time flies. It has to be 5+ years now, I would imagine, Jimmy. I mean,
yeah,
definitely.
Yeah,
right?
just about. Yeah.
All right. Jimmy has a shop that he runs on his own. He obviously, like many other businesses, even my business as a real estate agent was impacted by COVID once 2020 came around. Jimmy has some challenges with that, like every small business, but also has a bit of a testimony to share of his own in that regard. But I'm going to try and turn the clock back a little bit, Jimmy, so you can give a little bit of a background on how you came to a place of not just being a barber, but owning your own shop.
There's a certain level of dedication that's involved. I always knew that I wanted to have a business, because, well, one, I knew I wasn't going to college, so I had to figure it out. That's not something that I necessarily wanted to do, but I loved cutting hair. That was introduced to me about maybe 13 years ago now, 14 years ago. I've been cutting ever since, from shop to shop, just kind of gaining clientele, gaining skill set, learning the ropes. But eventually I got to a barbershop where it was time to, I knew that was my last stop. It's like, okay, from here on out, I feel like I'm equipped with God's direction. I felt like it was the right timing, to start my own thing. And I knew that although I was prepared, I was going to have like setbacks, I just knowing my walk and everything like that, I know that I'm going to be faced with challenges, but that's part of it. That's part of being an entrepreneur, working for yourself, So cut to 2018, that's when I incorporated the business and, found a spot. And, that was a challenge within itself, just finding, the location and, obviously the savings that whole time that I was working prior to that was just with this goal in mind, was to, save for my own place, for my own little nest egg. So, started the business in 2019, and shortly after, things were successful because I had been cutting for a long time. So I started the business relatively busy. But then, COVID hit just like everyone else, less than a year later. Um, so yeah, it was just time to get to it, so luckily I had some savings. So I was able to, sit back and, what was it, about 4 months or so, where everyone was just kind of waiting for it to be over with. Um, and yeah, get back to it. So that was the first, major setback. But these are the things that you have to, even though you're blissfully unaware that they could happen, you have to be prepared, because you never know what could come your
Yes.
way when especially when you're working for yourself and by yourself. You're really up against everything. It's whatever comes in front of you. You have to be prepared, not only financially, but spiritually. You have to have your heart in the right place, understanding that these things can go wrong, and that's not woe is me. It's more so, how is this going to build me? How is this going to make me better, make me a better business owner, make me a better father, a better husband, whatever it may be. These are the things that will make you better. It's the trials and tribulations that after you go through it, you look back and it's like, whoa, that was hard at the time, but I'm thankful that it happened. It's almost a weird thing because it made me have better character, have a better outlook. So,
Yes. Yes.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Absolutely, and just given some of the, and now I'm reflecting on that same time frame because obviously, as I mentioned earlier, as we led into this, Jimmy's been my barber for several years now. It had to be 5+ years because I remember when you opened the shop. So if you opened the shop, and I had already been coming to you for at least a year leading up until that point,
yeah,
we're talking about more than 5 years then.
yeah,
And I remember that COVID time frame as well because I had to go without a cut for
yeah,
months. All right, so had that little mini fro going for a while before I could get a
uh-huh,
cut. But I like how you led into or spoken to some of the challenges that you experience, not just in business but in life. A
yeah,
lot of things that do come your way, we have no control, right?
right,
Overcomes in life. I mean, that's something. It's kind of ecclesiastical, like all things are vanity, because we have no control over anything in life, right? It's just
right,
how we respond and what's our core value that keeps us centered, what is most important, right?
right,
So, in that time frame, I remember when that shutdown did occur, even from a real estate standpoint, most people in the business had no idea where the market was going to go, right?
right,
So was everything going to fall apart totally, or is this going to be something where we'll be able to navigate okay, but there's going to be some rough times ahead indefinitely? And it was quite the opposite in the business. It was a boom for, at least for my business, I know.
yeah,
But as you spoke to, there's struggles that come your way in life that really, I mean, I've learned to approach it as really opportunities to grow and be strengthened. And it's not easy to take that perspective when you're facing some real significant challenges and hardship, right?
right,
But
right,
in the end, you end up using muscles and using, from a faith standpoint, your faith becomes tested in a way that it becomes your lifeline, like it becomes breath to you, right?
right,
Something that is just part of who you are. All right, so I'm hoping that people can take something away from this, but share what that next hurdle was, Jimmy, and how you navigated
yeah.
there.
So it's funny because when COVID happened, I thought that was as bad as it could get. It's like, oh man, I'm not able to actually do the one thing that I'm able to do. Um,
Right.
and I knew it would be a certain period of time, and I'd be back to it. But then I was faced with something entirely different. I was diagnosed with cancer, stage 3 cancer, and it really came out of nowhere. It's like I went from COVID being the issue to, okay, now not only my financial livelihood, but my actual life. Like I'm not sure what tomorrow will bring.
Right.
And this was only, if I remember correctly, it's maybe about 7 months after COVID. So it's like, throughout that time frame, I had enough time to kind of save up and, God forbid anything, we get shut down again, let me make sure that I'm prepared for this. But, Lord knows I wasn't prepared for something like that.
Yeah.
So I instantly, obviously out of work, immediately. There were some symptoms that led up to it, but no one's thinking, oh, that's what it is. I'm chalking it up to being tired, just being a tired, business owner and, whatever it may be. But yeah, I was diagnosed with stage 3 cancer. I had a tumor on top of my heart. They said the size of avocado, so they had to act quickly.
Okay.
They said they don't know how it started. They don't know the history of it. They said it seems like it grew quickly. And that's what it seemed like. My symptoms were very, very rapid. Within like, before I was diagnosed, I want to say maybe 2 months prior to that, I started feeling something was wrong, and in the midst of all this, when I was diagnosed, I'm newly married. I was actually married after the pandemic, to my lovely wife, Rachel. And she was also, obviously after that, she was pregnant. So when I was diagnosed, she was about maybe a month pregnant, So not only am I faced with not being able to work, I don't know if I'm going to live. I don't know what's going to happen to me. I got a baby on the way. Every possible scenario you could think of is running through my mind. How am I going to do this? Lord, what is happening? Like all of these blessings have come into my life, my talent, my skill set, all these things brought me to this point, but now it feels like it's being stripped away. So it really was something that like truly tested me, truly like a true test of how I'm gonna get through this. So long story short, they hit me hard. I got what's called a VIP treatment of chemotherapy. So it's it's 3 different types of chemo. They hit me aggressively. I had 10 hours of chemo a day, for months, for a long time. But thank God, it magically, through God's will, it was gone. I went from having stage 3 cancer to nothing, in a matter of maybe 5 months, so it was very like unheard of, so it's like, I know, you can only imagine what the trials and tribulations of that timeline would look like. It's visually bleak, but spiritually, like, I knew like this is just a moment in time. I could feel it in my soul that this was just going to be something that I had to experience. All the things lined up to it, the support, the people around me, the church, it's everyone was there. Even though I was going through what I was going through, everyone was there to cover my losses, so, and I have a wonderful wife that supported me along the way, just taking care of me while she's, up to the point where she actually ended up giving birth when I finished chemo. So it's like I finished chemo and then she gives birth a couple days later, after my last round, so everything was perfectly set up to work, but I had to go through it, so that's really what it is, like if you decide to pursue anything in life, something good, something wholesome, because my goal in life in this shop was not to just cut hair, but to reach people, reach people in ways that you're not able to reach people in other scenarios, a one-on-one. How men are, they don't, how was your day? Good. It's outside of the barbershop. That's what it usually is. But in the barbershop, it's a place where you can really connect with people. So I really try to like, excuse me, I really try to use my walk to my advantage, and really reach people in that way, and I feel like it was, I can't, I don't want to speak for God, but what an opportunity, like to have someone, one of his own, go through something so horrendous on the grand stage and have people watch that, and then me still declare what it means to have that walk, and then survive it, and then give all the glory to him. The enemy's trembling. Like that's a wonderful thing. For people to see. It's like, oh wow, like he used his faith to his advantage. So. And then on top of that, not only did I battle cancer, but I also had, because there was remnants of tumors in my chest. So they were dead, but it was still there. So they had to cut it out. So I also had open heart surgery, open heart surgery. So that was after the cancer. And it's funny because I was concerned about the chemo and everything because I was experiencing that. But my wife was concerned about the open heart surgery. I was just like, okay, this is the last step. This is all I need to get through, and I'll be asleep. So it's like, it's fine. I don't got to worry about it. I'm not awake for this one, So even that was successful, 2 days after the hospital, they're kicking me out, and I'm going back home. So that was the final step, and then it was like, all right, you beat cancer, you completed the open heart surgery. Here's your child, get back to work. So it was everything was very fluid. It was very, everything, even like the experience of being sick was rushed. It's just like one of those things where I had to get through it. So very thankful for it. All glory to God at the end of the day. And it's just such a motivator. It's so motivating to experience that. And a version of myself being killed off, it's almost like weakness leaving your body, and just like a motivation just like filled into me. Because like I said, I'm now a father, so I have a debt, like I owe responsibility to this child, and not only that, but my business, I got to get back to it, so everything is very exciting. So I'm very thankful for going through that. It's weird to say. I'm glad that it happened. It's a weird thing to say to someone that didn't experience it, but I'm glad that it happened, because it molded me for the better. It made me a better person, and it made me not sweat the small stuff. It's like, if I can deal with that, then what do I have to worry about? If I made it through that, then God got me. I got no concern. So yeah. Long story short, I'm just happy to be here.
Jimmy, that's an incredible story, testimony. I just want to give a quick plug on your location. You're in the Ford section of Woodbridge.
Sure.
Just give a little bit of a plug about where you are, how to
Yeah.
best contact you. I know you're appointment only. All right.
Yeah.
So just give a little insight there.
So I'm on the corner of New Brunswick Ave and Hoy Ave in Fords, New Jersey. You can't miss it. Jimmy the Barber Shop. It's appointment only. So yeah, if you just find your spot in the schedule. I usually tend to book in advance. I am a one-man shop. So yeah, there is a bit of a wait, but if you get in, you get in. So be more than happy to cut anyone new. More than happy to have anyone join the arsenal. So yeah, if, that's the way to do it. Book online. You can just type in Jimmy the Barbershop, Google. You can book right there from Google. Yeah, there's a lot of ways to book, but that's probably the best way. Yeah, book right online.
Absolutely. I know, Jimmy, you got another appointment coming up. Just want to say Forge is a spot where there's a lot of development underway right now.
Right.
New parking lot just down the block from you. There's some other things going on in the area.
Yeah.
But absolutely book in advance. You need a couple weeks usually.
Yeah.
But again, Jimmy, thanks for your time, man. I
Always.
appreciate you just
Always.
reserving some time to come up here and share your story, man.
Definitely, man. Definitely, man. Thank you for
All
having me.
right. All
Yeah.
right. Yeah, absolutely. So everyone, we will be back again next week. Again, click like, subscribe, notification bell. Thank you for tuning in to this episode. Stay safe and stay tuned to New Jersey Living.